Welcome to this explainer. I am so incredibly glad you found your way to the crossroads today. I am the Sapphire Jester, and we are about to take a beautifully dark, mythic journey right into the shadowy corners of your own mind. We're diving into a fable called The Shadow and the Stone Mirror. So walk with me and a figure known as the Wanderer as we unpack the terrifying but honestly absolutely vital process of self-creation, human wholeness, and the raw power of integration.
Let me ask you something right off the bat. Are you trapped in a cage of your own making? It's kind of an uncanny thought, right? So many of us spend our entire lives relentlessly pursuing order. We set up these rigid rules for our schedules, our behaviors, our very identities, all to build walls to keep the chaos out. But well, at what point does that protective structure literally become an exhausting iron cage? Keep that question echoing in the back of your mind as we follow the Wanderer. Because his journey, it starts exactly where our relentless need for control so often leaves us, completely burned out and trapped by our own grand design.
So, in the first part of our fable, The Law of the Stone Mirror, the Wanderer walks this brutal road of cracked stone. And this perfectly captures the concept of the Jungian ego. The ego is our conscious mind, right? It's our structured sense of self and order. But here, the Wanderer is reaching the absolute dangerous limit of what we call static control. Because you see, he paved this exact road himself using his ancient runes. Every single step he takes is just a heavy, repetitive echo of 1,000 legislated tomorrows. He's tried so hard to plan and dictate every little moment of his existence that his own laws have morphed into a suffocating, oppressive prison.
I want you to look down into the cracks of the earth, right alongside the Wanderer. He doesn't even see a path forward anymore. All he sees is a tomb of stone, and it's reflecting his own exhausted despair right back at him. The road has become profoundly uncanny. The very laws he intended to provide safety and order are now reflecting a ghost of his own rigid creation. I mean, he's basically a god of his own world, but he's completely haunted and paralyzed by it. It's a pretty powerful metaphor for the burnout that happens when we just suppress all our natural life and spontaneity in favor of absolute, unbreakable routine.
Section 1. The Shadow in Sapphire, a Crossroads Encounter.
Out there at a misty crossroads, the Wanderer finally comes face to face with the Sapphire Jester. Now this figure is a textbook representation of the shadow archetype. In Jungian psychology, the shadow consists of the repressed, unconscious aspects of the self. All those things we intentionally hide away in the dark. But the absolutely crucial point to grasp here is that the Jester is not some external invading demon. No, he is deeply, frighteningly familiar. He is the literal personification of the Wanderer's own suppressed desire for non-being. The Jester wears this pristine porcelain mask with a wide, frozen grin, and it is so uncanny precisely because it perfectly mimics a genuine joy that the Wanderer actually buried a long, long time ago, hidden far beneath his tattered, heavy woolen cloak.
So now the Wanderer is faced with an agonizing choice. On the left side, you have the rigid, heavy burden he's been dragging around for ages, those 1,000 legislated tomorrows, and the crushing weight of static control. But on the right side is what the Jester is offering, the starless blue void. Make no mistake, the Jester is peddling the ultimate narcotic here. He's offering a beautiful, total release from the duty of consciousness. It's that immense temptation to just let go, to stop trying so hard, to sink into the quiet, dark blue nothingness and simply cease to be.
Have you ever actually felt that? That sheer exhaustion of personal growth? The daily fatigue of holding your entire life together? That suddenly makes the idea of just giving up look incredibly peaceful? Well, that is exactly the Jester's offer. It's the temptation to abandon the painful, messy, truly difficult process of becoming who you are meant to be, all in exchange for the quiet of a starless void. It's the shadow directly seducing the ego with the promise of permanent rest.
Part 2. Shattering the persona. Rejecting the cold numbness. Let's keep moving.
Right here, the Wanderer makes a fateful choice. He flat out refuses to surrender to the void. He realizes he can't fight the shadow with more rigid laws, and he definitely can't just surrender to it. So instead, he reaches deep, deep down into a primal part of himself and embraces Wut, the sacred frenzy. And listen, this isn't just mindless anger. It is a vital, visceral surge of raw life force. It's the fire of survival completely overwhelming his prior exhaustion. Channeling the ancient energy of Wotan, the Wanderer raises his heavy staff high into the air, standing firm against the encroaching darkness.
And with absolutely everything he has, he slams that staff down. Crack, shatter. This is not just the breaking of a physical object. We are talking about the absolute destruction of a facade.
The staff connects with the Sapphire Jester, and that pristine porcelain mask, with its creepy, frozen grin, shatters into 1,000 pieces right in front of him. And what happens when the mask falls away? Well, behind that shattered porcelain lies the persona. In psychological terms, the persona is the social mask or the outward face we construct to navigate the world and protect our vulnerable inner selves. When the jester's mask is destroyed, there's no terrifying monster hiding behind it. There is only an empty, hollow darkness. And that is the uncanny truth of our fable. The jester wasn't a powerful, autonomous entity at all. He was merely a parasite feeding on the wanderer's own weariness. He was nothing but a hollow archetype.
But this terrifying void didn't just appear out of nowhere. The void grows whenever the spirit of creation is suppressed by rigid laws. The Sapphire Jester, with his incredibly tempting offer of non-being, was simply a manifestation of the wanderer's own profound burnout. By paving a road of cracked stone and trapping himself in an iron cage of rules, the wanderer literally starved his own creative spirit. And that's exactly what allowed that dark, empty shadow to grow and thrive right there in the margins of his mind.
Section 3. Birth the Dancing Star, the Triumph of Becoming.
So, the Wanderer didn't just defeat his shadow and walk away. He traversed a profoundly deep psychological journey. Think about it. First, he had to look at his own failure. He had to acknowledge the rigid ego and the iron cage he built for himself. Next came the confrontation with the hollow shadow, realizing that the jester was just an empty parasite. But the true mastery, that happens in step 3. He integrated the raw chaos. He took the unlegislated, wild unpredictability of the jester's void, and instead of pushing it away, he fused it directly with his own undeniable fire of survival.
Now, this alchemical transformation is known as individuation. It's really the ultimate goal in Jungian psychology. It is the process of integrating the conscious mind and the unconscious shadow to achieve a true, authentic wholeness. By bringing together the structure of his survival instinct with the wild, unlegislated energy of the shadow, the wanderer experiences a total rebirth. He fundamentally changes his world from static stone into what the fable beautifully calls a dancing star of pure potential. He is no longer trapped. He is alive. He is unpredictable. And he is finally whole.
And this brilliant synthesis brings forth the birth of the Overman. Emerging into the radiant golden dawn, the wanderer stands upright and unbroken. Just think about how this radiant light stands in such sharp contrast to that suffocating stone tomb from the very beginning. He no longer hides behind heavy woolen cloaks. He doesn't rely on 1,000 legislated tomorrows to keep him safe. He no longer fears the chaos of the storm because by fully integrating all parts of himself, the light, the dark, the order, and the sacred frenzy, he now actually births the storm. He's used the ashes of his old rigid ego as the very soil to grow his new, fully realized self. As we wrap up this explainer today, we really have to face a stark reality. Every single one of us builds our own stone roads. We all face the temptation of the Sapphire Jester when we are just absolutely exhausted by our own rules. So the question is, what happens at your crossroads? Are you going to let your rigid routines turn your life into a safe but incredibly dark stone tomb? Or will you smash the porcelain mask, integrate your raw chaos, birth the storm, and become a dancing star? It's a challenging thought for sure, and one I sincerely hope stays with you as you navigate your own journey of becoming.